Hello Aries, welcome to Monarch Intuition, and today I'm going to be doing your personality assessment through the tarot cards. This is very important for when you read tarot cards or when you watch tarot card videos to understand what each card rules or what sign each card rules. So when we look at these right here, what is important to understand about Aries is that you have your lower base egotistical self, which is the Two of Wands. Then you have your higher self that you can achieve, which is the Queen of Wands. However, you're trying to gain the personality traits of the Tower and the Emperor right here. You are trying to gain enlightenment from these two cards. We can never be the major arcana, but we can see them as a true form of enlightenment for us and how we can choose to run our lives. So, when I see this Two of Wands right here, this card is about patience and understanding. These are things that Aries tend to lack within their lives, okay? With this wand right here he has in his hand, this represents the new beginning. It's kind of like the Ace of Wands. Now, he has this globe in his hand right here, and it's important to understand that he's holding it with his left hand. Most of the wands are being held with the right hand. If we look at the Queen of Wands, she's holding it with her right hand. If we look at the Three of Wands, it means he's holding it in his right hand as well. But this card, he's holding it in his left hand, representing that he's being impulsive. He's going from a negative perspective on how to do something right here. Remember, we have the positive and we have the negative. We have the right-hand path and we have the left-hand path. And it's very significant to understand that he is holding this wand with his left hand. And it represents kind of like black magic. Black magic represents getting your way immediately. Doesn't matter the consequences. And that's very symbolic to an Aries life. You can have all these different, projects going on within your life and never see anything through to completion, but all you have is like constant tower moments. You're left with all of this ash and rubble. Black magic can destroy your life. It can destroy you as a person and everything you've tried to build, especially since black magic is a shaky foundation. It's kind of like, a nuclear button. Like, once you press the button, there's no going back. So, when we look at this right here, there's a stable wand that he could grab with his right hand, and it's chained to a wall. This chain to the wall represents a significant, stable portion of your life. Whatever you have right here, whatever you've built for yourself. This wand right here, which is significantly smaller than this wand chained to the wall, and the one that he's holding with his left hand, it represents, I want to do something now. I have to do it now. And it's kind of like, in the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Veruca Salt, she's always saying, I want it now. Yeah, that's what this represents. Sorry, got choked up. So, when we look at this card, sometimes it's better to stay where we are within our lives, okay? Sometimes we don't need to have things immediately. We need to see a situation through, and we have to make emperor-like decisions, okay? Because you are a cardinal sign, and you change people's lives very drastically. You change your life, and you change other people's lives immediately with whatever choice that you choose to make. So your whole goal is to temper the impulse of the Two of Wands. Sometimes it's better to stay where you are and to send your ships out, which leads into the Three of Wands right here. He's understanding that, hey, you know what? Sometimes I don't need to travel to the situation. I can send a message out and let that situation decide if it needs me. And then if that situation needs me, I can choose and I can make better plans to go there. All right? So he sent out his message and he's waiting for the message to return. And that is the right-hand path, Aries, is that as a fire sign, as a divine masculine fire sign, you have to understand that you have to wait for situations to play out on the universe's time. You cannot force a situation. You cannot force it with your own hand, okay? Because when you force this situation, it will always turn into the Tower. Aries is supposed to learn patience in this lifetime, okay? Not to make radical, impulsive decisions. It happens to be the most impulsive sign next to Gemini. So when we look at this Three of Wands right here, he's now holding the right-hand path. This is what he wants to do. He doesn't like it, and that's what's important to understand about the Three of Wands. You don't like being here. You don't like having to wait for something to come in. You're like, well, I would rather just travel this world right here and do what I need to do. But here's the thing. That situation leads to Tower moments. You cannot rush situations and you cannot force things to happen. Otherwise, you mess up the way that the web of the universe. You mess up like the divine alignment of the universe, okay? It's kind of like, well, I'm going to go faster in this car and I'm going to remove all the safety features. Well, what happens? Like, bad things can happen to you, right? And that's what you're trying to do sometimes within this Two of Wands scenario, is that you're saying, it's not moving fast enough. I need it to go faster. But here's the thing, with the Four of Wands, it's a sweeter victory. By having patience and understanding and clarity to a situation, you gain right and left hand path within your life. And that's important to understand about the Queen of Wands right here, is that she is a witch. Witches generally choose a left hand path. However, they understand that they have to work with the divine masculine energy as well. Okay, so there is that balance for you. So she is now holding the wand in her right hand, and now she has the sunflower in her left hand. So what we have to look at with this Four of Wands right here is that patience and understanding is very crucial and key to the way and workings of your life. That is how you celebrate, is by making proper plans, okay? And sometimes it is important to be impulsive, but that's what you have to understand about the Queen of Wands, is that she's not just going to leave her throne for anything, okay? The Queen of Wands sits on her throne and she makes emperor-like decisions for herself and for her kingdom. She rises to power from the page all the way to the queen, and she does what she has to do to survive. But once she has this queen-like status, she has to understand she cannot revert back to her page-like ways. Now, those are important if you want to perform, some sort of a tower moment against other people. And sometimes when war times happen, remember the wands are all about war, you have to devastate your opponent, okay? So when we look at the Queen of Wands right here, she was initially the Page of Wands, because pages are gender neutral. The Page of Wands was a concubine, or someone who was kind of like apprenticed out to, what are they? Philosophers, teachers, and whatnot. So the males were apprenticed out, and the females were generally concubines during this time period. So they would go into these towns, pull people out, and say, you're going to go be with the king, you're going to go be with the king, you're going to go be a concubine. And then they would be trained in order to, fulfill the pleasures of the king, right? She ended up being the one who the king liked the most. The one that was the most beautiful, the one that was the most passionate, the one that was the most intelligent. And she could manipulate a situation to get her way, which is the symbology of having her legs open. It's also a symbology of using your magic right here, using the power of seduction, because Aries does rule seduction. In fact, if you have an Aries Lilith placement, that's probably the most devastating Lilith placement that there is, okay? Because Lilith is a demon who basically birthed all of the other demons, right? She had a lot of sex. And Aries rules the wands. It rules this black cat energy. It rules this demon energy. Now, I'm not saying that you're a demon or anything. I'm just saying that during these time periods when tarot artwork was created, they had kind of demonized black cats. So it's a very symbolic interpretation right here. She can enact her will. She has her magic behind her. However, it's important to understand that there's a time and place to use situations. She cannot just wave her magic wand around and start, setting fire to everything. She has to make rational decisions for the best of her kingdom, for the best of her people, her children, her family, whatever. She could be a self-serving individual and just switch places, switch the wand to the left hand, and just start burning things down. However, that's not beneficial to her and to what she's built up throughout her life. She's understand that, yes, she's had to go through all of these negative experiences, and yes, she's done this negative stuff. However, she's trying to make a better life for herself. She's trying to make a more rational decision. She's gained the understanding of darkness. And that's what you have to understand about the Tower card and this sunflower right here. The sunflower represents the sun. Kind of, in a way, she's turned away from her dark, evil path, but she understands why she went through them. When we look at, say, for example, biblical texts, because tarot is heavily based within Catholicism right here, there are biblical texts that say, thou shalt not kill, right? But then there are other biblical texts where it says that if you want to wage war on an enemy, you have to kill their children, kill their wives, kill their husband, kill all of their livestock, burn everything that they have to the ground, and do not take anything. And once they're burned down to the ground, let nature reclaim them. That's the Tower energy, Aries. That's what you have to understand, is that there is a thou shalt not kill, and then there is a I must destroy you and everything that you have. And that's the power of Aries right there, and that's why Aries is known as the most impulsive, reckless, destructive sign, because you co-rule the tower with Scorpio, right? War brings death. Aries is the god of war. Aries rules war. Aries rules total destruction. War brings death. And you have to understand that right here, and that's the symbology of life, is that she's turned away from these negative polarities of herself, and she's saying, you know what, I've seen the light. I've seen God. I understand my powers, and I understand where I've went wrong within my life. I understand that I have the possibilities and the capabilities to absolutely destroy everything, destroy the competition. Because she wasn't a nice person. She kind of rose to power through murder, seduction, all of these different things. But this is kind of a representation that even the most wicked person can see the light eventually. So she's holding the sunflower. The sun card has sunflowers in the background representing the connection to God. But God even said itself in certain parts of the Bible, that's how you have to destroy an enemy sometimes. So when we look at the Emperor and the Tower energy, you have to make harsh decisions right here. You have to make radical decisions to destroy a situation. Now, this card represents enlightenment as well. It's also kind of the symbology of Titanic. Do not tempt God right here. Do not, say, this thing cannot be destroyed by God, because a lot of people said that about the Tower of Babel. A lot of people said that about the Tower, or the Titanic. And the Tower card represents the Tower of Babel itself. Humanity wanted to build the tower to God, and God said no and struck it down. It's important to understand that the tower is shaped like an obelisk, and the obelisk is a representation of Baal's genitals. So when we look at this, this is kind of like, a taboo card in itself. All the tarot cards can be seen as taboo. It's saying that right here, sometimes total destruction is necessary because the sunlight energy is what actually causes the lightning strike on this tower to fall. And that's what she holds within her hand, is the sunflower. She has the ability to cause this massive devastation. And that's what's important to understand when you look at the symbology of the sun card, the original sun card, is that the sun card is being held up by an angel. Or the initial tower card, the initial artwork of the tower card. The sun is being held up by an angel and it has a face in the sun. And then the sun is striking this tower with electricity, causing it to blow up and fall. And that is the power of what Aries holds right here, especially with this Emperor-like energy. You have to come to a very balanced perspective within your life. You have to see the light, Aries. That's the whole point. Otherwise, your life is going to be nothing but catastrophe and failures because you do not see the actions and errors of your own choices. You might just think, oh, these are just small little situations. They're not small, Aries. When you make a decision to do something, you radically change the lives of other people around you. Okay, the smallest decision has a large ripple effect. In fact, it's not on this card. Some cards she has butterflies around her, kind of like signifying the butterfly effect. Monarch butterflies have this way. Well, she's kind of dressed like a monarch butterfly, representing the black and orange right there. And the yellow on the card. Monarch butterflies haven't... Sorry, I got choked up. Had this weird ability that when they swarm, their wings can be at such a small vibration that it causes massive hurricanes on the other side of the world. And that's what you have to understand, is that your very, very small actions have ripple effects, okay? So when you make decisions, you have to be sure, is this a good decision, or am I coming from my Two of Wands base egotistical self? Is this a rational, well thought out situation for me and for everyone around me? Because that's what you have to understand, is that she's in charge now, okay? She saw what was best for the kingdom. She said, I can run this better than the other kings, and she's very successful at running the situation, okay? She's not subservient to the King of Wands. He runs his own separate kingdom. All the other queens are subservient. That's what's important to understand about the Queen of Wands, is that it is a witch. A witch was a woman with free thoughts, free action, free will, very knowledgeable about situations, very knowledgeable about the world, very knowledgeable about religion. She could not be controlled. With that amount of power of the Queen of Wands, what could she do with that? What type of devastation could happen? It's important to understand that there's a place in Sicily called the Valley of the Devil. A lot of people think that they just went and burned witches throughout history. They didn't really burn all the witches. They actually sent them to the Valley of the Devil. And it was noted that bishops and clerics and whatnot would go and visit them for their healing powers because they were educated people. Magi, magicians, physicians, all these people, whatever, they understood astrology, they understood mathematics, they understood healing properties, they understood whatever to heal people. And that's what's important to understand about healing people with archaic astrology. Traditional Chinese medicine is built off of their own traditional astrology foundations that they have. It's very different from ours. And even naturopathy follows the ideas of astrology, healing people with astrology. The idea of the Farmer's Almanac is all about astrology. Understand that for yourself, Aries, okay? Understand that the smallest butterfly effects can cause massive devastation with this tower. You have this power, okay? A lot of people go crazy with it when they're younger. But your goal is to understand that you have it, how to use it, and how to build a better situation by seeing the light, okay? How do you see the light? How do you become, more enlightened? How do you try to wield this duality of nature right here? Because you have this capability to cause, this wicked, malicious attack, but you have to channel it properly. You have to channel it at exactly what you mean. You cannot just go after all these other people. You have to go after the obelisk itself. Because once you destroy someone's obelisk, their entire situation, their ideologies, their countries fall apart. Think about what happened to America, I believe it was in 2001. Wasn't that an obelisk situation right there? Wasn't that a tower situation? We as Americans have had our own tower. And not only was it just a tower situation for America, it was a tower situation globally. That is the power of Aries. So anyway, Aries, I hope you enjoyed this personality assessment, and I'll talk to you later.